but you'll hear me in a second, I'm sure. I'm Dr. Boyce Watkins from the Black Business School, and everybody's kind of going crazy over the crypto stuff. It's a big year for all investors, especially the Black investor. In my opinion, I think that Black investment interest has skyrocketed. It already started skyrocketing even before the Bitcoin craze. Now that the Bitcoin craze has happened, you got a whole lot of people out here, hustling to make the money, and I respect that 100%. But there's another side to this. There's another side to all of this that you got to really understand. If anybody remember when Diddy said more money, more problems, well, that really is true. There are lots of people who literally are in situations where making a little bit of money was almost the worst thing that could have ever happened to them. Some people have even gone to jail for not paying Uncle Sam and doing what they're supposed to do. So in order to kind of help you make sure that in the midst of this crypto craze that we don't, drive ourselves into the poorhouse, we invited in a member of the Digital Underground, Miss Rebecca Samuels. Now, Rebecca is going to tell you more about herself. I don't want to misrepresent, but I know she's from Silver Spring, Maryland. She is, if I understand it correctly, a CPA. Is that right?
Yes.
Yes, and so she knows a lot about this stuff. And so before I move on, I want to say welcome to Intellectual Chocolate, Rebecca. It's great to have you.
Thank you for having me. I really appreciate it. So again, my name is Rebecca Samuels. I live in the Washington, D.C. area. I've been here for about 3 years now. Before that, I was in Connecticut for, I'm not going to tell you the years because then you'll know how old I am, but I lived in Connecticut for decades and came out to the DMV area just to get something new, something different. I was in the Army, I was a soldier, I got me a clearance, so I figured, hey, take my clearance, go to Washington, D.C., probably get a job. This was, after the recession was going on and everything else like that. I'm an accountant. I got my CPA license last year, and I also went a step further and got my enrolled agent's license. Let me tell you a little bit about that. So the enrolled agent is a person that specializes in taxes. It's a test offered by the U.S. Treasury. We're licensed by the U.S. Treasury. We directly deal with the IRS for our clients. So we're your tax preparers, obviously. We do your tax planning. But if you are audited, if you have any type of audit issues, you would call up either a CPA or an enrolled agent and say, hey, I'm being audited. Can you step in? We kind of step in and stop the communication between the client and the IRS. And we kind of take over so that we guide everything the way it should be, protect the client, and resolve the issue as quickly as possible. So I have both licenses, and I just opened my practice at the beginning, not at the beginning, July of this year. I opened my business, Pythagorean, to serve in accounting and taxes. I wanted to become self-employed. Before that, I was a government contractor, and I was doing the 1099 thing. So I was already self-employed and making great money being self-employed as a government contractor. But I wanted to take it a step further and say, okay, let me have my own business. Let me actually have clients and see how that goes. So that's where I am at this point.
And that's worked out for you, right? So you now have a couple. Now, what is the name of your business so people in the DMV area can know about your business?
Sure. It's Pythagorean LLC. That's spelled Pythagus. And I actually serve all clients, not just in the DC area, because a lot of the stuff that can be done, it can actually be done online. I have a secure portal for my clients, so they could send me whatever documentation they need to send me. I can upload things to them. We could sign off on stuff. So I actually don't need to have my clients here in DC. They could be in Canada. They could be in another country. As long as they have internet access, we can do business.
Wow. Well, I love that. Pythagorean. Now, where did the name Pythagorean come from? Is that Pythagorean theorem or?
Yes. Haas, you are the first person that got that. Okay.
Are you kidding me?
I am dead serious. Okay.
I taught math at the University of Kentucky, so I know when I hear Pythagorean, I'm thinking Pythagorean theorem. But I'm that I was the first person to point that out. Really? What drove you to call it Pythagorean LLC?
Okay, so back in like high school, I was really, really nerdy. I loved like statistics, calculus, geometry, all of those type of classes, anything with numbers. I'm a numbers girl. So, you know, the A squared plus B squared equals C squared. I was like, you know, I want to give my business a name that is unique, something that stands out. Most accountants have their last name, tax services, Brown tax services, Brown accounting services. And I'm like, I don't want to put my last name on anything just in case maybe in the future I may want to sell the business. I want to have it to have its own name so it's more attractive later on. Or, you know, if it's going to end up being a family business, hopefully my kids will be interested in accounting the way that I am. They can go on and live out the legacy. But yeah, so I wanted an original name. I was thinking, and I said, well, what do I like and what can I play with? And that's exactly what I did. I played, and you are the first person that got that.
Wow, that's exciting, but so sad at the same time, because you know, the Pythagorean theorem should be something that is taught to everybody in high school. It's not like it's an super advanced concept.
Yeah, it's not. I learned it in high school.
Right, but it's kind of a reflection of the problem that we have, you know, in our community. You know, so many of our kids coming out of school, and you feel bad for them, because I'm sitting there thinking, how are you ever going to get money when you have a hard time putting together a complete sentence? You know, these are things you can learn on the internet. You know, how can I envision you ever getting ahead economically when you never learn how to count or how to even do multiplication and division the right way? It's kind of crazy, and it's sort of, you know, but the thing is, you know, if you talk to the kids, you say, well, what do you want out of life? They'll be like, oh, I want to get money. I want to get money, like, you know, because they got the songs, you know, get money, making money moves, you know, whatever. And it's like, okay, make some money moves, but you don't know how to make the money moves. You know how to, but you know, you got all this free time. You know, time should be converting into knowledge, and knowledge converts into money. But the question is, when you got all that time and you're sitting there on your phone like this, because you know the kids are always on their phones, and you know there's a wealth of knowledge available on the internet on how to improve your life. What's the disconnect? What is the problem? You know. But anyway, let me stop. I'm climbing off the soapbox now. All right, I'm off the soapbox. Now, you joined our digital underground, which people, if they want to know more about it, go to bitcoin.theblackbusinessschool.com. If you want to check it out, that's bitcoin.theblackbusinessschool.com. Please, somebody type it in so that nobody asks me to repeat it. You mentioned taxation issues. You talked about taxes, and that's important, because, you know, when you invest, you know, when you get the capital gains and all that stuff and the losses, there are tax implications to this. Let's start with your question. You made a comment in the Facebook group for the Digital Underground about taxation. That's what led us to reach out to you. What was your comment and what was your question, and what was kind of the nature of that discussion?
Oh, okay, so I was actually answering someone else's comment, and don't get me to lie, because honestly, I don't remember exactly what it was, but someone said, hey, is there someone that could guide us about taxation issues? And they listed out a couple of things. And I just jumped on the comment and said, yeah, you know, this is taxable. Obviously, we're going to talk about the details of what's taxable, when it's taxable, and everything else. But I was just basically telling them that cryptocurrency, especially when the value is rising, if you're converting, if you're cashing out, all of this is taxable. And you want to be ready for that, because short-term gains, the tax rates are a lot higher than it is for long-term gains. So when we're sitting up here and doing all this day trading back and forth and buying different, you know what I'm saying? This is going to cost you later on. Now, for the most part, if we're going to go into it, for the most part, I think, you know, when we take into the account of all the fees with the training, because you got to go from Coinbase to Bittrex, that's what I have, Coinbase to Bittrex. And then, you know, there's a fee every time you change the money, and then you're actually buying the new coin. So all of this stuff adds up, and you have to keep the accounting in track, because the fees will actually help you, even though they're taking them, But again, if you buy another coin and the coin's value increases, or if you buy Bitcoin now and the gains increase. So, you went from $200, now you have $1,200. Once you take that $1,200 and move it over to buy a new coin, all of that gain that you received is now taxable. And I see this a lot on the forums where everyone is saying, no, I didn't cash it out, so I shouldn't have to pay taxes on that, this, that, and the third. And it's like, no, that actually is. There is an IRS publication. It's called IRS Notice 2014-21 that basically lists cryptocurrency. So let me tell you this, the IRS does not have something official, like a publication that says, this is how we're dealing with it. What the IRS has issued is a notice giving their position on it. And that's the position that they're more likely to enforce. And if you go and read the different questions, they tell you, hey, look, this is taxable, or, you're going to have to read more, you're going to have to do more on an official IRS publication, but here's the general basis, this is taxable, this is what we're thinking, and if you go against that, you against the IRS,
That's funny you say that, because I'll tell you what, Ms. Samuels, I'm speaking to Rebecca Samuels. She is the founder of Pythagorean LLC, out of Maryland, and she's a smart lady, and she's a CPA. I remember the movie Set It Off. Did you ever see the movie Set It Off with Jada and Vivica Fox? And remember when the guy said, three things I do not mess with is the I, the aura.
Remember that? Yes.
That scene, and I never forgot that, and it's really true. You don't want to mess with the IRS. I think a lot of people think they can kind of slip and get by, and you've seen people do, things like not even file taxes for many, many years. And they think that it's kind of like once it's in their past, it can never be brought back up. And it's like a nightmare to have somebody, it's 2017, and then somebody shows up and they're like, okay, we need you to go in detail, and we're going to talk to you in detail about all of your financial transactions from 2012. I don't even remember much of anything about it. I know people who don't even remember who they were dating in 2012, what job they had in 2012, where they even live. You know what I mean? Like 2012 seems like a generation ago, but you'll have to come back and go in detail over this. Tell me about that. You had a reaction when I just said that. I'd love to see what you were thinking behind that.
Yeah, I've actually been contacted by a couple of clients that have not filed their taxes in a couple of years. I had a corporation even contact me and say, hey, look, I founded this corporation. I haven't filed any business taxes. And I'm over here like, it stops my heart a little, because I really want to help people. But when we're talking about it, I tell people all the time, even if you file your tax penalties. So one of them is failure to file. If you fail to file, I don't have the actual numbers in front of me, but I believe it's they charge you a penalty of 5% per month or something like that until it reaches its maximum limit. I don't have it in front of me, so don't quote me on that. There's going to be a couple of tax preparers like, no, she's wrong. No, I don't have those numbers in front of me. But when you fail to file, the penalties are a lot harsher than if you fail to pay. Believe it or not, the IRS just wants the information. They'll let you know, but they want the information. And also, statute of limitations. Your statute of limitations, okay, so the IRS has 3 years to pick up on mistakes on your tax return. Those 3 years don't start until you file. So if you don't file, you see what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. If you don't file, that's still open game. And even more so, they have 6 years to get you on over 25%. Gosh, I didn't know we were going to go into this conversation. Otherwise, I just have these numbers to start pulling for you.
I'm
sorry?
Keep talking.
Well, I want to make sure I'm giving the correct information.
I'm just texting the people that are listening. So if I'm looking down, it's because I'm just communicating with the listeners a little bit. But you keep on talking, because this ain't, you don't get this. Our people don't get this stuff on TV and mainstream media. Nobody cares about the consequences of these choices. So keep talking, please. Go ahead.
Okay. Again, like I said, I didn't know we were going into this part of it because there's actual numbers associated with this stuff, and I want to make sure that is factual before I hand it out. But I do know that it's 3 years for minor mistakes, 25% of your income. That's 6 years, and that's how far the IRS can look back on your items. But if you never file, that time limit never starts, so they can come back later on. And okay, so for example, I was talking to someone and they were telling me, well, the IRS will never know, how they gonna find out and everything else. And I said, so you mean to tell me if you make lots of money off of trading and selling these altcoins or whatever else, you just gonna let it sit there? How you gonna spend it? I mean, I know someone right now that has over 20 whole Bitcoins from a wallet that they found back in 2012. Over 20. I'm trying to understand that myself, but yes.
I'm pulling out my calculator. 20 Bitcoins? Are you serious? That's $300,000.
Over
$300,000.
So it's like, eventually the person's going to want to cash out and take those gains. And when you cash out, you're going to buy stuff. You're going to buy stuff that you never had before or whatever they choose to do with their money. The IRS takes notice of stuff like that. You can't be reporting a $20,000 income a year and driving a Lambo. Think about how Al Capone was brought down. There you go. Tax evasion. They couldn't get him on anything, but they got him on tax evasion. So this is the stuff that people really need to sit here and think about. Small-time day traders that's making small gains, you're probably not going to be the person that the IRS is going after. But if somebody, actually, I have the date on here. So I think it was January. Actually, I can't find it right this second. But okay, so say somebody got in on Bitcoin when it was like $200 each, and they bought 10 whole Bitcoins. This was, back in the day when it was that small. And they bought 10 whole Bitcoins for $2,000. If they cashed out now, you know what I'm saying? They're going to be making lots of gains, and they want to take advantage of that. This is going to be a different lifestyle that they're living if they now have millions of dollars at their disposal. Right. You're going to get found out.
Yeah, well, it seems to me that, when you talk about the taxes, the tax situation is almost sort of like the thing that happens after the party's over. After everybody's kind of had fun and made their money, it's almost like making the money is when people are out having lots of crazy sex, and then the taxes are like when they go to the doctor and have, they're pregnant or they got an STD or something. You know what I mean? Like the IRS is like, we got your test results and they're not good. We're gonna give you a shot of penicillin or whatever. And I think that it's I think it's important to kind of talk about both sides of that, because I think people don't understand that. But what's interesting to me, and maybe you can speak to this, Ms. Samuels, is that when when you talk about taxation, there's a brighter side to being taxed as an investor if you do it right. If you are a long-term buy and hold investor and you don't have a bunch of short-term capital gains, then this country really works in your favor. I was talking, and I'll give my interpretation that I was sharing with a kid, and I'd love to get your interpretation because you're a CPA. And I have so much respect for CPAs, because when I was studying finance, I took a couple of the advanced accounting classes, and the books were this thick, and there was the rules. I have an immense amount of respect for CPAs. But I was talking to a young kid, and I said, what did you learn at school today? He was 14, and he said, oh, we learned today that they were talking about the tax plan and how certain people, the wealthy people get taxed, at a certain rate, and poor people get taxed at this rate and stuff like that. And I said, well, do you know though that if you're, say, a wealthy person, because I told we talked about him becoming rich one day, like I've been telling him how to do that. So I said, well, that actually, while rich people do get taxed more, the taxation for how you make your money makes a big difference, right? Like the taxation for working is higher, much higher than the tax you'll receive for making your money as an investor. So I said, now, if you're one of the working rich, like you have a high salary or whatever, and you're making $500,000 a year, you're going to get taxed like crazy. But if you are making your wealth as an investor and you jump into that investor class, then suddenly all the tax laws seem to go in your favor. You know, that's why it's better to be a landlord than a renter, right? It's better to be a shareholder than a consumer. It's better to be a business owner than an employee, because the employees are going to get taxed half to death, whereas the business owner, they're getting the benefit of these long-term capital gains taxes. And so that was my little speech to him. Now, I'd love to hear from your perspective, you know, as a CPA, if you could kind of reiterate that, maybe there are nuances to that discussion that you might add as well.
Okay, so definitely with, say, you're investing and you decide you want to make a short-term investment, 6 months, okay? Since it's under a year, it falls under the short-term capital gains rules, and you'll be taxed at a higher rate. So this comes into play when we're talking about someone buying cryptocurrency and sending it to another wallet to then get other altcoins, and they're trading back and forth. Oh, something's up today, let me cash out. Something's down today, or whatever. All of this now comes into play because once those transactions are made, this is now a short-term gain. Anything you receive is now taxed at the higher rate. But if you actually let something sit and wait, which that's why I really like your program, because when you guys were talking about Jarvis, you guys are giving us coins that are a long-term hold. You're not looking for a quick turnaround on a coin. It's a long-term hold. Hey, this coin has the potential of going up. It may not be for 6, 7, 8 months, but by the time it gets to where it needs to go, you'll already be close to, if not past, the short-term capital gains part. So that means now when you take out your gain, it's now under the long term and it's taxed at a lower rate. And I think that's very important for people to know. I know a lot of, you know, everyone says like Bitcoin is like the gold rush. We're here to come and get the gold and go. But in this case, it just makes more sense. It's smarter to pick good investments and hold them versus, I think this coin is going to go up next week. Let me buy it now and then I'm going to cash out next week. It just really makes more sense taxes wise and it works more in your favor. But yeah, everything else, I mean, you're really on point with all of it. So I don't even know. I'm just going to be reiterating the stuff that you're saying.
No. I think it's great, you know, that we can kind of reiterate, you know, for people that are trying to figure this whole thing out. You know, I think that people don't understand. This is why I tell everybody, get your kids, you know, in scenarios where they can get good financial knowledge, because people who understand this stuff are at a huge advantage to those who don't understand it. Everybody wants money, but only a small percentage of people take the time to learn how to actually get it.
And in addition to that, I have to add in, wealthy people plan. They don't rush in to go get something. They actually take the time, talk with their tax advisor, plan things out, understand how it's going to affect them, and make the next move. They're not running in. They're not rushing in.
No, and that, you know, that's funny. That reminds me of that quote where they say wealthy families plan for the next 4 generations, and poor families plan for Saturday night. You know, and I've seen that. You know, I've been in a family like that. I've seen that up close. You know, and the way I would see it is that, you know, anytime you're in the present used to be the future. Mm-hmm. And if you look around your life in the present and say, who controls the present? The people who control the present were the people who were planning for the present in the past, back when the present used to be the future.
Exactly.
Right? So if you want to control the present at any point in your life, you got to plan now. The future is coming. It's not going away. And you've got to think about that, you know. So, you know, I think that what's interesting also, to go deeper, first of all, I want everybody to know who just came in, I'm speaking to Miss Rebecca Samuels. Rebecca is a CPA, certified public accountant out of Silver Springs, Maryland. Her company is called, everybody write it down so you can support her. It's Pythagorean LLC, Pythagorean LLC. And you can email her, but don't bombard her with a bunch of questions asking for free advice and information. You if she has a consulting fee, you just break a little something off to help the sister out, support our Black professionals. We must do that. Now, with that being said, Rebecca, I was thinking about, what you mentioned in terms of, it had to do with long-term gains and, the crypto thing. So, okay, so the way you and I met is that you mentioned Jarvis earlier. Jarvis is our proprietary system where our experts go in and analyze the whole crypto space and find those coins that are good long-term investments. And I felt comfortable pushing that to people because this is what I use. This is where my big crypto play is. Do I own Bitcoin? Yes, I think I have like 3 Bitcoins, which right now that's like a lot of money, right? But I started buying about 2,000. It's been the best investment I've made in a while. It's going up every day. I think right now I just looked, Bitcoin's up 16 to 16,000. So it went up like $800 or $900 a day in the last day. I own the other 2 or 3 major coins, the Ethereum, the Litecoin. All of them are going up. And what's happening is that I'm seeing the crypto space almost like a house or like digging into the ground. Not even think about it as a house. Think of it like you're doing excavation. And you've got, that's how the paleontologists figure out like what was going on 10 million years ago, is they realized that at every layer, you're finding out more information about what's going on or what happened at certain periods, right? So with crypto, you've got different layers. You got this surface, and most people are shallow, superficial surface people, so they're not going to go past the surface. The surface is the Bitcoin craze. These Bitcoin. I'm buying me some Bitcoin. Everybody got some. Somebody sent me a video there. Then they had a bunch of people in the room. You got your Bitcoin? Yeah. You got your Bitcoin? Yeah. So it's like a fad, right? It reminds me when Michael Jackson was really big, and everybody had the one glove and the shiny little one glove. Remember that? And the little red jackets and the Jerry curl. Like it's like a fad, right? But then there are the people that go to the next layer. The next layer is, what's Bitcoin going to do as a long-term investment? Like I buy Bitcoin not because I know what's going to happen tomorrow, not because I know it's going to go up, but because I believe it could go as high as $1 million a coin or half a million a coin at some point. And I would love to be a part of that if that happens. But I'm prepared for the fact that it may not happen. That's the other thing people got to understand. True. You got to be ready. Don't put all your money in Bitcoin. There's no guarantees in any of this investing game. Make sure you know that. But then below that layer, it's like, then you're like, oh, wait, Bitcoin isn't the only coin. There's other coins. There's Litecoin. There's Ethereum. Oh, okay, well, I'll buy some of those. So I bought a bunch of that. I bought a bunch of Litecoin because I said to myself, I said, once people kind of feel like Bitcoin's kind of priced too high, they're going to say,
they're going to go to other coins.
Right. And on Coinbase, the largest trader of Bitcoin, well, what do they trade? They trade Bitcoin, Litecoin, and Ethereum. So that's like beginners. So that's the next layer of the craze. So I was like, okay, well, let me go ahead and load up on some Litecoin and Ethereum so that when people start moving toward in that direction, maybe something good will happen. Then it's like there's another layer. I'm going layer after layer. I'm just breaking all this down real quick. But the next layer to me is the blockchain.
Yes.
Like, the blockchain is very powerful. The technology that underlies the creation of this whole industry of cryptocurrency. The blockchain is being applied in every area from social media to healthcare to the legal field.
Accounting.
Yes, accounting, yes. So the blockchain, this powerful technology beneath, that underlies all this is really amazing. So I invest in Bitcoin and other coins as well because I believe in the blockchain. And then there's like that next layer. Right, and then the next layer is all these coins that represent companies that are being built on the blockchain.
Exactly.
Right? You got companies that they believe could possibly be as big as Facebook and Google where they now have currency, which is a little bit of buying a coin from a company is it's a little bit, not quite, but a little bit, not quite, but a little bit like buying a share of stock. A little bit, not quite the same, but similar, right? So these companies, these industries, and this is where we dug. I was like, let's go to layer 5, because that's where I want to get Black people at. If we can get thousands of Black people to dig to layer 5, then by the time everybody else digs down and gets there, we'll already be posted up. We'll already be there waiting. Like, oh, you want to buy this coin for $1,000? Well, yeah, I bought it when it was half a penny.
Right. So, yes.
That's what I want, right? So on that last layer, you got all these companies, and that's what Jarvis is designed to do. Jarvis has a bunch of, we went and got the best experts. I didn't even care if they were, we got some black people, yes, like Lamar Wilson, but I didn't really care if they were black. I said, I just want the best information, period. So we got a black dude, an Asian dude, a white dude, you know, like, and they all were digging in and getting this information. And so that's what led us to kind of create the thing that the program that you're a part of, is because this is information I believe in. Like, these are investments that I have made myself to the tunes of thousands of dollars. And the thing about it though, and this goes back to, and I want to get your commentary on this, because I know I've done a little bit of talking. Yeah. You know, my ultimate, you know, belief is that these are not investments that are going to just make a bunch of money quickly. These are investments where you want to be positioned now so that 5-10 years from now, your family could be sitting on millions of dollars because you made
exactly
similar to people who bought Bitcoin back in 2010.
Exactly.
I know I've said a lot, so I'm sure that as smart as something came to mind. Please go ahead.
Yeah. So let me go back a step further, because I want to talk about the blockchain. So when I started my company, I was trying to figure out what to do. There's other CPAs out there. I need to set myself, you know, I need to set myself as a different. How can I differentiate myself from everyone else? Okay. So I said, well, what can I specialize in? What's going on that I could specialize in and maybe, you know, get clients from that? And I said, oh, well, this Bitcoin thing's going on. The IRS is reporting only 800 people have reported about Bitcoin. So I said, you know what? That's where I'm going. So I went in that direction, started doing all these meetups, meeting different people from all over the place, learning about Bitcoin and everything else. But when I actually sat down and understood how the blockchain worked, my mind was blown. And I started freaking out right away, because I was like, okay, hold on a second. If this gets developed to where they're trying to develop it, people like me could possibly get put out of a job. That's what this technology is about to do. It's about to affect a number of industries, and particularly mine, because I'm in the accounting and financial fields. I'm talking about money. If there is a system in place to send money from one person to another, verified on a general ledger, everything is get done immediately. There's not necessarily, don't get me wrong, there'll still be need for accountants. It will just be changed. But you know, the bookkeeping that needs to be done every month, blockchain. You know, even doing taxes, blockchain. Like, this is going to change our world. I firmly believe that in the next 10 years. The technology is still, you know, in its infancy, as they say. So it's being developed. If you go and look on Google what companies are actually developing on blockchain right now, there's a lot of current day companies, Booz Allen, Deloitte, these are ones I'm familiar with because I'm an accountant, but they are studying on how the blockchain is working and trying to see how they could use it to their benefit. This technology is going to change the way we live. So then now we're talking about now companies being built on the blockchain. This is where people really need to be focusing on, because Bitcoin is really high right now. And I agree with you. At some point, Bitcoin's going to be too high. You know, you can't, if Bitcoin makes it to $50,000 a coin and the latecomers say, hey, I want to throw $200 at it, they're not going to be able to make any money at that point, because it's just way too high. But if you're looking for other coins, which I'm not giving any recommendations on coins, I'll tell you I have Ripple. I know there's been a lot of back and forth about Ripple. Oh, the supply is too high. Oh, this, all that. But I actually did my research. I understand that they're putting a number of coins in a smart contract. And every time a transaction goes through on Ripple, they shred some of the coins, to my understanding. I'm not a tech person, but they shred. So the number of supply is eventually going to go down. But right now the supply is very high. So no one wants to jump in on it. Okay, I got a lot of Ripple. I'm going to just tell you like that. I got a lot of Ripple. Hopefully in 5 years, when that supply goes down and the actual company, if it's picked up, if the banks pick it up, and they say, okay, we're definitely going to implement this. I know Amex is starting to, and they've gotten a couple of international banks, but I like the technology. I like what Ripple does, the instant money. You know, that's another thing. People are like, hey, I just tried to send money to my Coinbase account and it's going to take 8 days to get there. What the hell? Ripple will solve that problem. That's how I see it. Ripple will solve that problem instantly, you know, because when you're sending money, it has to go from one to the banks, and then they have to do all this accounting in between, and then then it finally gets there a couple of days later. But with Ripple, it's going to be an instant here to here, done. I truly see this being picked up. Now, obviously, I could be wrong. And again, I'm not giving anyone any type of investment advice. Get Ripple if you want. I really strongly suggest that you do the research. But going back to the point, I bought a whole bunch of Ripple now when it's at 20 cents in hopes that maybe 3 or 5 years from now, you know, maybe it's $50 a coin. Maybe it's $500. We don't know. We don't know. It's all speculation at this point. It'll happen when it happens, but I'm holding on to what I have. And there's other companies. There's other coins. Wu-Tang, he mentioned a couple of them in the different live chats. Mark, I believe that's his name. He also mentioned a couple of coins as well. And go with the information that you're given. You're being given a lot of information. The users of Jarvis, you're being given a lot of information where you can sit here and you can say, you know what, I can make an educated decision on whether or not I want to invest in this company. Because there's a whole bunch of, excuse my French, but there's a whole bunch of shit coins out here. They aren't built on anything. They're just out here to make money. And what you're going to see, I'm predicting it. Well, I think they've already started. In the next 3 years, there's going to be a lot of pumps and dumps, companies that put out these coins that weren't worth anything. And the authorities are going to go after them because they're robbing people blind and taking money. And you know, then people get, you know, upset with the blockchain. And it was like, no, it wasn't the blockchain. This is the company. The company was awful. You know what I'm saying? There's other coins on the blockchain that have the potential of skyrocketing just like Bitcoin. I'm not going to say it's matching Bitcoin or anything like that, but they are. The values are going to go up. So we need to figure out which coins they are, invest our money in those coins, and plan for the next couple of futures, as we're talking about. I want to make sure my grandchildren are straight. You know what I'm saying? Because I already got my kids straight with my company. But the grandchildren and the great-grandchildren, I want to make sure that I'm building something for them.
I love that. I think that is so awesome. This is Rebecca Samuels. Rebecca Samuels is a CPA, and she's also a CEO of a company called Pythagorean LLC. She's out of Silver Springs, Maryland. And what she said, what you just said, Ms. Samuels, I think is right on point. And I'm so glad you were willing to take the time to come in and talk to us about this. You know, I think it's so important. I mean, as we go into this craze, and I'm so happy that everybody's interested in investing. I'm getting hit up by all kinds of people now, you know, about it. And I'm glad to share what I know. But the thing about it is that, you know, it's a new lifestyle. It's almost like when, you know, you don't want to be corny if you come into this space. You know, it's like when white people discovered hip hop, you know, and they wanted to like do corny stuff and do Daffy Duck raps and all that. And the people that really knew hip hop were like, man, this is lame or whatever, right? So don't be corny and lame. If you're gonna come into the space and start investing, invest intelligently. Don't put yourself in a bad situation. Make smart decisions. Have a little bit of discipline, and know that if you do, the money will come. But just know if you're sloppy, it'll be just like Diddy said: more money, more problems, and you'll be wishing that you had never discovered investing. You'll wish you never had money because they're gonna be coming. They're gonna come in and take the house. They're gonna take the cars. They're gonna take all the assets, empty the bank account, all of that. And you don't want that to happen to you. So you gotta think about the other side of money. Money is power, but power comes with responsibility, because power that's used irresponsibly ultimately becomes dangerous, and it can be a weapon to destroy yourself. Now, if you are interested in joining the program that we have on crypto, feel free to go to bitcoin.theblackbusinessschool.com. That's bitcoin.theblackbusinessschool.com. I heard somebody mention, she said, what are these terms? I don't understand, you know, what's going on. That's fine. That's okay. It's okay to not know. Everybody starts off not knowing nothing. I know Ms. Sanders, we both all start off with empty brains. Yeah. That's why with the package, with what we're doing with Jarvis and our digital underground program and everything else, we're adding in not just the investing component where we show you what we're buying and show you what to get and break down the analysis on the different industries, everything. It's so worth it. It's a great program, but we also give you education. You have free access to the Black Crypto Investing Program taught by Lamar Wilson, one of the leading crypto experts in the world and arguably the leading Black crypto expert on the planet. He'll teach you everything you want to know about everything having to do with the industry. He knows stuff that would take me 20 years to figure out. Also, you get access to my Black Stock Market program, in which there's over 100 and something hours of content. It'll be better than any college class you ever took. The only difference is that this won't cost you hardly anything compared to what it costs you to go to college. And you'll walk away as a full, complete investor. Join with your whole family. Make it a family affair. You are part of a generation that is going to change the culture of the entire Black community because you are part of the investing culture that is going to elevate our people to the next level. So, Ms. Samuels, I want to say thank you for hanging out with me today. It's been really good.
It was awesome. Trust me. I was a little bit nervous, but we're good. Thank you so much for having me.
Are you still nervous? Or are you feeling
No, like I said, once we got into conversation, this is something I'm very passionate about. I'm passionate about what I do. Again, I'm a CPA and an enrolled agent. I took it a step farther because I really am passionate about what I do. So if I can share information that will help someone else, I want to share it. Now, obviously, if you want me to work for you, I got to get paid. But, I want to give out the free info to make sure that we're not passing around bad information.
Yes.
I want to make sure everyone has the right info so they can make good choices and good decisions for themselves and their families, because this all is going to affect their families.
It's funny when people talk about, what the blockchain represents, how the blockchain represents, among other things, the ability to get certified quality information or whatever validation. In a way, I almost think about this, our goal is to be part of the black chain. The black chain means making sure that you're getting good information and good advice.
Oh, that's good. I like that.
You like that? That works?
Yes.
Yeah, well, that's it. We are we want to be part of the black chain where, we see people out here getting this advice, all these tips. And the thing about this market is that there's a ton of opportunity everywhere. But when there's that much opportunity and it's wide open, there's also a lot of fraud that's happening.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's a conversation for another day.
Yes. So thank you for joining us in the black chain and making sure that our people are getting good information. We respect you, sister. And I want to make sure everybody knows I spoke to Miss Rebecca Samuels. Her company is Pythagorean LLC. I hope you look it up. She's in Silver Springs, Maryland, but she can do business with people anywhere in the world. And our focus on the crypto and everything else with our experts. If you want to come and join and see what we're doing in crypto, you can also visit bitcoin.theblackbusinessschool.com. That's bitcoin.theblackbusinessschool.com. Take care, guys. We love you. And once again, Ms. Samuels, thank you very much. And
thank you for having me.
Yes, ma'am. It's a pleasure. You'll be back. All right, take care, everybody.
Oh, awesome. Thanks. Bye.
Bye-bye now.